What's going on, ladies and gents? Zoop here, and I know I left you with a lot to digest after yesterday's video about making battleships great again. I know not all of you agreed with me, and I know more than a few of you didn't disagree with me, which is nice. Seems like there's a lot of feelings about battleships right now, destroyers, and just the overall state of the game, which, surprise, surprise, this has been ongoing for quite some time, because I don't think anyone's satisfied right now with the state of the game, or at least the balance within. Before I get to that, though, I've got a winner. A little while ago, I said I was giving away an Orkan, and Dredogen, congratulations from the North American server, you have won yourself an Orkan. But wait, there's more. I'm also giving away Piotr Bagration and an Ochakov. So if you want a chance to win either one of those ships, all you gotta do is leave a comment in the comment section of this video, leave your in-game name and your region. And two of you lucky people, two of you beautiful people, will be selected for one or the other at my choice. So if you want a chance to win one of those two, now's your chance. And I've seen a lot of you having fun with those ships, and I'm happy for you because I really didn't enjoy them, and I think you saw that in my reviews of them. But obviously, some of you are making them work, and, you know, just because I hate a ship, I doesn't mean I don't want you to be successful in that ship. If you can make it work for you, awesome, I'm happy for you. Share your tips with us, let us know how you're doing it. Anyhow, on to yesterday's video, and just some of the key points of it. You know, the point of making battleships great again is not about buffing battleships, making them more powerful, or making them better. I mean, battleships have a heavy hit pool, they're not bad. But the whole point of yesterday's video was creature comforts that make the gameplay overall better, and eliminating static gameplay. That is the biggest issue with World of Warships right now. Static gameplay. And I think all of us like this game the most when there's a lot going on. When you're brawling, when you're pushing in, when you've got 5 ships firing at you, and you've got your teammates firing at those ships, and it's just all this craziness. We don't like it when the game's boring. When you've got 5 battleships on each team sitting in the very back, followed by 5 cruisers sitting somewhere near the middle, hiding behind islands, and destroyers off in the corners of the map. That's what we don't like. No one likes that. And the fixes that I mentioned yesterday regarding HE and fire probability, because that goes along with it, that goes a long way in helping making things not static. Giving battleships more accurate, harder hitting secondaries against cruisers makes things more exciting. It gives battleships incentive to push. Now, I know a lot of you said, hey, well, what about us cruisers, you know? If battleships can push on us, that means our ability to do what we want to do is going to be impacted. Well, I tell you what, you know, it's not just the battleships on the enemy team that are going to be pushing. Your battleships are going to push too. And ideally, as a cruiser, you shouldn't be pushing too far anyways. Cruisers are a support ship. You should be at that midpoint. You should be hugging the islands or hiding behind the islands, swinging HE. You should be supporting your battleships, which are pushing in to soak up damage and brawl the other enemy battleships to clear out a path. Well, what about destroyers? Well, that's where you cruisers come into play once again. With your radar at that mid-range, that little 10-kilometer area where you can ping them and keep them away from your battleships. Ideally, this is how things should work. Ideally, this is how you restore the paper, rock, scissor element to World of Warships. Well, what about aircraft carriers? They're a wild card. Well, guess what? Here's the interesting thing. If your team is pushing, if your battleships are pushing up through the middle into cap, and if your cruisers are hanging out near the battleships, slightly behind them, while those battleships soak up damage to protect the cruisers, guess what you've done? You've amassed your anti-aircraft capabilities. And it should be close enough that any destroyers that have pushed towards cap are going to be safe from it as well. Or, if they need to, they can retreat back to the safety of anti-aircraft cover. That's how you neuter aircraft carriers. But when the game is static, when you've got 5 battleships sitting in the back, when you've got cruisers that are just kind of off in the middle of nowhere, and you've got destroyers either pushing the sides of the map or pushing forward into the cap, that's easy pickings for an aircraft carrier. Onesie-twosie destroyers? Yeah, I can fire at them all day long. Unchallenged. Battleships in the back? Just onesie-twosies sitting around sniping? Well, that's an easy target for me as well. But 2 or 3 battleships pushing on a cap ahead of a cruiser or 2 that's sitting back there with anti-aircraft guns? If I'm an aircraft carrier, I'm going to think twice. Or I'm not even going to bother. Because there's no point. All my planes are going to get melted. And this is how you make the game more exciting. But right now, as it stands, you can't even do this because battleships don't want to push. I like pushing in battleships. The problem is when I push in battleships and I have teammates with me, I turn around and most of them have already turned back at the slightest sight of the enemy. Doesn't matter if we have odds or not, there's just this complete reluctance to take damage. And the problem is in a battleship, HE is the primary source of that damage, unless you're going up against another battleship. So again, my idea for HE to be more effective at range and non-effective up close would help that as well. Because as battleship, I know that if I push, I'm not going to get scorched. I'm at least going to have a fighting chance to soak up damage. Yeah, it might be paper cuts, but I'm not on fire either. Someone also said, well, why would you want to do that to HE when you want to buff a battleship's HE? It's not about buffing battleships HE against everything. And it's not about buffing the fire chance on that HE. It's about making it hit harder against ships that can easily sneak up on or get close to battleships, and battleships can't one-shot or delete. Primarily, most of the cruisers that have come out. It's a weird situation where you overpin the majority of cruisers now. There's still some cruisers that you can absolutely wreck. I mean, if you get a, let's see, a Minotaur broadside, a Des Moines broadside, you're gonna really screw them. But other cruisers that have come out, they just don't take citadels like they should. And that's the direction this game's been heading, and I think that's what a lot of Battleship players are frustrated with. Now, don't get me wrong, all players are frustrated. Some of you once again brought up the fact that, you know, you don't like the way radar works, and it just creates too much of a hassle for a destroyer. Well, again, I play destroyers almost as much as battleships and cruisers, and I don't find a problem with radar. Yes, it's prevalent. You want to know something that annoys me more? I hate Hydro more. And Hydro's set to get a buff. I hate Hydro. Hydro is like permanent radar, and it'll last forever. If you're sneaking up on an island, and you've got a battleship dead to right, and it hits that Hydro, you're screwed. Radar doesn't do that. So, you know, let's pick and choose our battles as destroyer players. Personally, I'm comfortable in destroyers, and I don't think they're in a bad place right now, with the exception of some lines, because their anti-aircraft capability sucks against aircraft carriers. Especially French destroyers right now. I really think the lack of heals at high tiers hurts against aircraft carriers. That's where I think the weak points for destroyers are. But overall, these changes to battleships aren't, again, to make them stronger. It's to give them a reason to push, an incentive to push, therefore making the game more exciting for everyone in the game. It's to make the game less static and more engaging. And that's what this game needs right now, because I think a lot of players are growing tired of random battles just because it's so static. And it gets boring. Because no one wants to sink and then watch the end of the round as ships at the back of the map do nothing and the timer runs out. Give me a 10-minute exciting game any day of the week over a 20-minute snooze fest. I can fit 2 games in for the price of 1 if they last 10 minutes and I get a lot of fun in. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of you have given your opinions too. I think I'm moving on from this though. Again, your chance to win the Ochakov and the Bagration. That's the Bagrat, whatever the hell it is. And again, just leave your name in the comments of this video, your in-game name with your region. This is open to all regions. And again, Wednesday, I've got my 5,000 follower stream, my welcome back stream. Come out if you get a chance, and I'll catch you all later. Zoop out.